this title that we have on here, definition of legal, being the undoing of God's law, not found yet. It's important that we have to realize there's a responsibility for people that are, well, if they have no moral conscience, it's not going to matter what I'm talking about. But if you have moral conscience, you're not going to upload something that you don't have substantiation to. We've gone as much out of our way as possible to establish the format of where the books are that we're using. So, especially in the earlier videos, you would notice that I would have a whole array of books in front of me where the subject matter material that we were talking about came from. So to make this as simple as possible, we have to look at the current situation we are in the world that we're surrounded with, which is temporal. It's based on a monetary system, based on a legal system, and that legal system, when you look at the terminology of who runs this, which was, according to the scripture, the whole world, the temporal world of mankind, lies under the power of the wicked one, which is Satan. We'll go back into the Bible where it says that the serpent was the most subtle creature in the garden before the original sin happened. And subtle, when you look at its etymology in English, it comes out the word tech or web. That's not really surprising because those two words would relate to the society we live in today. So there's a lot of tech and there's a lot of web going on. We got the World Wide Web, and that's based on technology. And technology I've always had a front to because I know it has nothing to do with nature. There was no technology in the Garden of Eden. And so therefore it was just what it was in nature. Man has probably teched himself into a complete suicide path to the level that he's trying to reproduce in tech what is the authority of God through the means of something evil, through the master of deception, Satan. So when words show up on the World Wide Web, where someone says legal is defined as the undoing of God's law, and it shows up on a lot of sites, and there's a number of people I've talked to about it, and I said, please find this definition. It has not been found. I've gone through almost every source you could think of, even dictionaries that were not quoted as the dictionary, to think maybe someone made a mistake and it was just a it was a quote, but coming from the wrong, they're labeling it under the wrong source. So I went to Bouvier's Law Dictionary as far back as I could go, thinking maybe that was possibly where they found this from. And then I went through the research through the Encyclopedia Britannica of the Arts and Sciences, R.S. Peale, 9th edition. No showing of this anywhere. I guess the only thing I could do is go to the Congress Library in the United States and actually see if they have it somewhere in there. But to date, there's been no reference other than someone digitally putting it up somehow or saying that's what it means, but it is not there from the research as of yet. So if there's anybody who can actually send it to me under child144@gmail.com, I'm very willing to look at it if it exists. But be careful, because just because you found it on a site that says it exists, where is the reference coming from and where's the showing of the book or anything like that? And I'm not seeing that on the sites that promote this definition. But I want to say, I'm not saying that the definition is wrong, okay? Because I've researched as much as I can into the legal, and we're going to deal with this in this video because it's important. So we'll look at the word legal in the 1828 Noah Webster's dictionary, and when we go to legal, it says, according to law, in conformity with law, as a legal standard or test a legal procedure. You've got to be careful there, because law is what's laid down and established. Legal is to collect in its etymology. Then it says, according to the law of works, as distinguished from free grace, or resting on works for salvation. Okay, so when we look at that, that means it would be contrary to the belief in Christianity. It would be contrary to what Christ did in Colossians 2:13-15, because he blotted out not only legal indebtedness according to many of the versions that we've actually quoted from in previous videos, but he canceled out the certificate of debt, which could only come from a legal source. So a system that operates under legal would, of course, create a legal bond debt for participants who are not in spirituality. Therefore, legal is opposite to free grace. Therefore, I could understand that it would be the undoing of God's law, because it would be contrary to what Christ did. And Christ fulfilled the law through the love of God, who canceled out all debt and sin. So we're in a situation that when we look at the definition, it's not saying it's incorrect. It's just saying, where is this, if it is there? So I don't like spreading these type of definitions out there, because if you find not that definition out there looking for it, then you're going to come back and say, Dan's putting out propaganda about something that doesn't exist out there for reference. So we've done our best to find reference. So I would say that the Noah Webster's 1828 in legal does support the actual concept of this definition, but it does not say it in those words, but it still means the same. Because if you're going down a legal direction, you're absolutely opposite to free grace. So therefore, hopefully the previous video that we just did will fill you in, to understand what we're talking about here, because legal is not something for Christians, because legal is opposite to. Therefore, it's like turning down God's wonderful gift for you to be free from debt, guilt, and sin, and removing the ability of that pardon that was given to you that would have made you liable to the law, which is what's implied by the statement of birth record, by placing a legal surname on everybody's head as a judgment, stating you can either take on the judgment or you can accept the truth that your God-given name has stated that no longer is your burden and it's an error. But until you make that acceptance and notify of that acceptance, how would I know what you've chosen? How do I know you've made your election sure? So in the world of government, they actions speak louder than words. So if you're acting in an implied social contract under the Leviathan, the social contract they talk about, in sin you are in the public legal system, because you're now pleading guilty to a debtor name that says that you're in debt, not in grace, you're automatically going to be deemed by your actions to not be redeemed by Jesus Christ to be free.